Okay, I mean, I watch dozens of videos every day being a moderator in Lockpickers United, and a lot of them are on the lower end of the belt spectrum where a lot of people are just getting into picking. So I decided to go pick up a couple of the locks that I hadn't picked before. The Master Lock 140. I've picked the 141, which is I think the same lock, just in like a black housing. The Master Lock 150 and the Master Lock 575. And depending how much time we have, I'll pick one or more of these locks. But I also see tons of people asking for help because they're learning their first lock or so, and figured I'll put together a video on how to approach picking lock. I'll start, I guess, with this yellow belt one. So if you're not familiar with the belt system, it's kind of like the karate belt system. It goes from white through black belt. White belt being you pick any lock you want, and a moderator will give you a white belt if you just show that the lock has been picked, like, you know, the keyway's turned. And then there's a page where we rank a bunch of different locks. We try to rank as many as we can. They have to obviously be ones that we've had experience picking, and give them a belt rank. And if you pick that belt, you pick that lock, you can get that belt. So this particular lock, let's say you bought this as your first lock after you get one of those clear acrylic locks, and you want to pick it. Well, first thing is, you could look at the key. You might be, you know, like me. When I first get a lock, I don't want to see the key. I don't want to have watched a video on it. I don't want to know anything, what's inside. I don't want people to tell me what's in there, and I'll poke around and try to figure it out. If I can't get it, then I'll probably look at the key and see, and that'll give me some insight. Still won't tell me what's in there, but it'll give me some insight on, you know, if there's a little notch in the side of the key. Maybe there's something that, you know, that I wouldn't have found otherwise. If that doesn't work, I'll probably take the lock apart, look at the internals, and if that doesn't work, I'll go watch some videos on YouTube. And if that doesn't work, I'll go ask some buddies online how to do it, which I don't know if I've ever done that, but that's what I would do. So to pick this, I figure I will pull out my old, and this I guess you can consider is an equivalent to a pick set you might get off Amazon, right? This I bought when I first started picking. There was no such thing as Amazon back then. This was from, I think I got this back in like 1995, some sort of mail order thing. And it comes with a number of picks. These are kind of like typical Chinese picks you can find. You can see they're kind of rusty. Some of them I never use a key extractor, so obviously that one's rusty. You can see in here, this one has been spiffed up a little, but I always use this diamond one when I was younger because I did a lot of zipping rather than single pin picking. But the only hook in here is what we'll use. And I haven't tried this lockpick set in a long time, so I really don't know how it's going to do in these things. And it looks like for tensioner selection, we're kind of limited here. We have 2 tensioners I think I'll use. I don't know why this one's got such a crazy shape. And this one is for one with like a car lock, like a shutter. I should turn the autofocus on for this bit. And so I'll probably pick one of these 2. And these are wiper insert tensioners that you'll find in a lot of these kits. You can get them from Wiper Blades. If you go to your automotive parts store, they probably have a lot of these in the bins on a rainy day. This one's actually kind of bent. I don't know why. And these are designed to go in the bottom of the keyway. You'll hear them sometimes referenced as BOK, bottom of keyway tensioners. So you can do that. These ones have a curl in them. They're very bendy. They're probably very poor for feedback. I'll probably do tension a little bit higher up to get better feedback. But yeah, these are either they're very old and so they're very bendy. These are not good tensioners. And the pick itself is extremely thick. It's very thick width-wise, so it's only going to work on a number of locks. Fortunately, here in the U.S., having a thick pick is not a detriment. Most of our keyways are so wide open. So for tension, this one is actually kind of sideways. What I would probably also do is just use this on the top. So let's get the focus back on the lock so we can see what's going on. I might use this on the top of the keyway just like that. Now, if I were to do that with my tensioner, I'd probably cut it right there where my thumbnail is, so that it doesn't stick halfway out the lock like that, right? So I can go in, probably go and see how deep is that front pin. Front pin is about that deep. That's how much of the tensioner I'd keep. I'd cut it back here, right? And that way when I push up, I wouldn't like pop out of the keyway a lot. It'd give me a lot much better hold there. Most people are going to start on bottom of keyway. Problem here is that I might not have room to work. It's taking up a lot of the keyway down here. By putting it on the top of the keyway, I end up with a lot of room to work. One problem with top of the keyway is you might put pressure on that front pin, or you might want to be able to visually see that front pin, which is a nice thing that bottom of keyway gives you, right? And also bottom of keyway, my tensioner is probably not going to fall out, whereas top of keyway, while you're picking, you know, especially if it's not cut down, your tensioner might fall out. So those are some pros and cons. If you watch any of my other videos, you see I almost solely pick top of keyway. Obviously, if it's a dimple lock or something like that, it'll be tensioned in a different way. But I don't know if I can do this bottom of keyway because this tensioner is really wide, but we will try it anyways. This lock turns clockwise, always a good thing to check. Padlocks generally go clockwise, but not always, but almost always. So we know we want to pick this clockwise. So I'll put this here and I'll pull down on that, probably a little bit further up, choke up on my tension a little. And then I have this hook, right? It's just it's a medium hook, probably like a shallower hook, but it's what we got. It's the only, I mean, you could use, if this is your choices, you might want to use this diamond pick or this half snowman here. You got these, right? The rest of these, you got a key extractor. It's not going to be any use. And you got a bunch of different types of rake, okay? So those are rakes. They're good for, you can watch other videos for that. I'll focus on single pin picking. This, you could use the diamond as well to single pin pick in there like that. But if you have a good hook, 3 hooks would be really ideal, a short, medium, and high. But if you have a short and a high hook, you can pick most of the locks out there. So once I got some tension on there, I would like to have the tensioner like that, but I see it wants to rest like that, which is kind of a good thing because it's not pushing on the outside. You know, it's not pushing on the plug. I mean, it's not pushing on the padlock body. It's only putting all of its contact on the plug itself. Let me see if I turn that a little. You can see it's not pushing down here on the padlock body, only on the plug. The thing is that, let's say your tensioner is like this, you could get in a situation where the tensioner is pushing against this body, not allowing the plug to turn, even though you have the whole thing picked. So it's good to look at that sometimes and make sure that your plug can turn like this. Now this guy turning quite a bit. It's almost like it's dropping into a false set. So if you did some research on the Masterlock 140, I think you'll find that it has spools in it, I believe. And you'll find that it has 4 pins. So looking at this key, we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 valleys. So that's where your pins are resting, okay? This one here, the third one, so starting here at 1, 2, 3, the third pin is really low. So we have to be careful that when we go underneath it, trying to pick this fourth one, that we don't accidentally lift the third one. So if I come from high up on the keyway like this, and I try to push that fourth one up, you'll see that my pick is covering up the valley of the third slot. That means that my pick is lifting the third pin higher than it's supposed to go, and that will cause an overset and not allow us to pick. You can look into other videos to show cutaways and show what exactly is going on. I won't go too in depth into that, where you have spring, driver pin, key pin, and you're trying to get the gap between the driver pin and the key pin at the shear line in order to unlock the lock. But that's a different video. So you want to lift, I know I'm going to want to lift that fourth one high, but I'm going to want to do it from lower in the keyway so that I don't interfere with that third pin. Now if I have this tensioner in the bottom of the keyway, obviously I can't put my pick down there. Another reason why top of keyway is, in my opinion, generally a superior way to tension your lock. But first things first, let's identify where all of our pins are. So I have just a pick. One way you can do it from the front to the back of the lock is you can go and you can stab that front pin like that, and then go down until you get under it. Lift that pin up, and then go back again until you stab the next pin. Boom. Go down. Lift that second pin. Boom. Hit the third pin. Go down. Lift that third pin. Hit a fourth pin. Lift it, and oop, no more pins. So now I know there's 4. Another way to do it is start at the back, lift, and listen for the pins to drop as you pull the pick towards the front. They're going to go up this ramp, and then they're going to fall off the end of the pick, and they'll make a little clink, right? So I'm going to start at the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hear 4 pins dropping. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pins in there. All right. So the number of pins we hear matches the key. You can put your tensioner in finally, and you can start picking. And I keep teasing you guys with that. Another thing you could do is when I do the front to back method, I hit that first pin, I go down, lift it up. I could put a little mark on my pick right where it enters the keyway, and I know that if I stick the pick in that far, I'm on the first pin. And I go push it to the second pin, lift that second pin up. Now I know I'm at the second pin. I could put another mark on the pick with like a Sharpie. Third one, lift it up, could put another mark, and fourth one, lift it up, put another mark. And then I can visually look and know which pin I'm on for this particular lock. It's not, you're not going to be able to take those marks and go to another lock. They might have different spacing between the different pins. All right, let's see about lifting this first pin. So this first pin, it just lifts up, the same as if I didn't even have the tensioner in there at all. So that's obviously a non-binding pin, all right? The driver pin is not binding that. Let me see if I can show that a little. If you can see into the keyway at all, and that, maybe like this, lifting that front pin is giving me no resistance. All right, getting it back here. Hopefully it's still in focus. Let's get some focus going. Autofocus, autofocus. All right. So we know the first pin is not the first binder. So a lot of people, they're like, I went through all the pins front to back, and I pushed them, I got clicks out of all of them, and it didn't open. Well, that's because when you push the first pin, it wasn't ready yet. It wasn't its time. It's still baking. All right, so we go, lift that, go to the second one, go under it, and I feel, second one here, that it also does not seem to be binding. So I'll go onto the third one, and now it's getting really hard to get on the third one with this bottom, with this kind of high hook and this bottom keyway tensioner here. So 1, 2, 3. It's getting hard to get under it, and I'm finding that maybe I can't do it at all with this bottom keyway tensioner. But that third one doesn't feel like it's moving at all. So I'm going to lift up on it. Oh. So anything I'm hearing, I might go, oh, that was a click. But maybe not. Maybe it's just my pick shifting around in there. So hearing clicks is not a good indication of if a pin is set or not. And in fact, I think I've lifted that pin all the way to the top. I didn't notice where a click was, and it just feels like I don't feel any spring there. So what I've probably done here on the third pin is I've overset it, which is no surprise, because remember, going back to the key, that third one shouldn't have been lifted very high. So that third one is almost definitely overset at that point. And then I go to the fourth one, and I find, can't really tell. So you can see I'm an experienced picker, and I'm having a really hard time figuring out what's going on. And it's not, okay, it's not my fault that I'm really having a hard time here. It's kind of a fault of using the bottom of keyway tension on a fairly small lock. If I had a larger lock, maybe this 575, maybe bottom keyway tension would be viable. Or if I had a better bottom keyway tensioner. This one is just way too fat, right? So if I had something thinner, oh look, the other side of this is thinner. I can stick that in there, and all of a sudden I have a little bit more real estate to work with here. Not much, but a little bit. And that little bit could be all that matters. Let's look at the other one. Maybe the other one's even thinner. Yeah, it looks like it's even thinner. So it could just be we chose a bad tensioner, which is, oh, this one gave me the entire area here to work with. Try the same thing again with a much better tensioner. Still not ideal, really loose. whatnot, but it's thinner. All right, that first one, loose. That was expected. Just because I changed the tensioner doesn't mean I'm changing the binding order. Second one, hard to, so this first one, second one, first one, and you might have to do this over and over, just kind of like in carpentry, measure twice, cut once, right? So I'm gonna make sure that I lift the first one, make sure I'm under the second one before I go to try to set it. Okay, I think that might be. Before, I think I felt it jiggling, but again, I had a hard time because tensioner was taking up so much room. So I didn't think the second one was the binder. This time I feel like it might have been. Third one, see if I can get under it. I think it's, what I'm hearing there is a spring. So third one is not binding. It's got spring behind it. Means I don't want to push it. Fourth one, hard to get past that third one and get onto the fourth one. So we'll try. I think I got a little click out of it there. But again, click could be deceiving. So I'll push on it and I think I feel a bit of spring. Yeah, I definitely feel spring. So I think the third one is okay. Go back to the fourth one, sorry. Third one. Again, I think that one's also good. First one is still not binding. So either I've made a mistake or that second one might be overset or who knows what. So don't feel ashamed to reset, and you should hear pins fall. There we go. And start over, right? Now, no success with the bottom. You could keep at this, keep at this. You could try a different pick, right? We got the Snowman Pick here. Maybe this will fit under the pins better and help you find your binders and whatnot better. Maybe good old diamond pick. This one you can see it's kind of curved downward from being used so much. I think this is like one of the only picks that has shown wear and tear that I have. And you can go and try to lift stuff. Doesn't seem to be working very well. Now, one of the things I'm noticing as I do this, there's a little bit of warding on the right. So it comes up and then it goes in and then it goes further up. And I think that a lot of this, my shaft of my pick is getting stuck on that right warding like that. See, I can't lift it higher. But if I put it over here, I can lift it freely. Get stuck, lift it freely. So what's probably happening also is as I lift on this, the shaft is probably getting stuck on that right warding. So I gotta be mindful of that and kind of tilt my pick to the left. Oh, and now I can feel my pins already a lot better. Fourth one seems to be binding. And we'll go lift it like that. Third one. Third one I think is binding. Second one, click there. And now, at long last, my first pin appears to be binding. So we'll go ahead and lift that first one and we get an open, right? So what did I do? I switched out my tensioner to give me more real estate in here. And I ended up finding out that this one it was maybe too tall. Switched to the diamond, found that I still couldn't lift and realized, hey, there's warding on the right side. I need to tilt to the left. What we can do is go back to this high one and see, hey, maybe that was the problem we had with this. Let's tilt it a bit to the left. First one, second one, third pin, trying to get under, having a real hard time getting on the third one. This could be an overset. And I find that the fourth one might have got set, but I find that the tensioner here was trying to naturally straighten out the pick as it slid down this diagonal of the tensioner, leaving it more likely to get stuck on the warding. So this is probably not the best choice of pick. However, in all that nonsense, the first pin is binding again. We'll lift the first pin and we got an open. So somehow when I was setting 4, 2 didn't have to get set, or I didn't get 2 set. I don't know what happened, but an open, and it was a little bit different. So the lock is not going to pick the same every time. Don't try to memorize which pins bind first, etc. Test each pin and go for your opens that way. You might have picked pin 2 and got, oh, I got to click out of 2. Now I got to go. Now I know I got to go to 4. I go click from 4. Okay, now I know I got to go to 1. You go back to 1, it's not binding. You're like, what's going on? Well, when you picked 4, maybe you dropped 2 down a little bit, and you didn't bother to check 2 because you know in your mind, hey, I've already set that, and I know it's supposed to be 2, 4, 1. Throw that knowledge out the window. Check for picks, the different pin states, and then pick the lock as if it's your first time picking it. Now, what I want to do is take my tensioner up top. Maybe I'll go from this side and try picking it like that with the pick that I had a little bit of difficulty picking it with, right? But now I'm at the bottom of QA. I can get front to back and never even touch a pin. I don't need to worry about that low lift on number 3, and I can just go like this. Pin 1 is free. 2 doesn't seem to be binding. 3, there, a little click from 3, and now feeling it. So I might have to set 3 first, but I didn't notice the whole time because I had such a hard time getting under it to 4. I probably just picked it as I was making my way back. So that was 3, and then pin 4 is binding, and we'll go ahead and lift it. Still binding, still binding. And there's a click. And don't just rely on the click. Go ahead and try to feel. Okay, it's moving a little bit. 3 still moving a little bit. I didn't lose 3 doing that. 2 seems to be moving. And 1 is binding. No movement. So 1's my binder. I'll go ahead and lift in 1. And we got the open. Boom. Right? So just because you're stuck on something one way doesn't mean that way's wrong. It could be you're stuck on warding and you just need to tilt your pick. It could mean that you have a tensioner that's not good for that particular lock. You should switch it out. Maybe you need to switch to top of keyway. Maybe you need to switch your pick out to something shorter. Maybe you just need to take a break from this lock and be like, all right, that one's stuck. Maybe my head's getting in the way. I've memorized too much of this lock, and my memory is getting in the way of picking that lock, and just put something else in there, like, this 150. If you're looking at picking a 140, and you only have these kind of tensioners, you don't have the top of keyway type tensioners, you can use them in the top like I said. You can cut them down. In fact, in this case, I might want to use the wider one on the top. It gives it a little bit better hold and whatnot, and just go at it. 1's loose. 3. Click. Or maybe that was 4. Doesn't really matter. 1 still loose. 3, little click. 2's loose. 1's right there. And you see, you don't respect the lock. You try to rush it, and it won't give you an open. And 1. And I got open. But I didn't know what was going on because I was jumping around all over the place, frantic, like, hey, I've already done this one a million times. I can open it again. And then the lock goes, not this time. And then I had to slow down, feel where I was at in the lock, and check those pin states, and then it gave it up. So hopefully those tips help you. I know it's been a long video, but I wanted to go into a little bit of detail on thought process and tool selection. And like I said, this is my ancient, I don't even know how many, ancient pick kit that I got way back in the day. It would be similar to something you get off Amazon, and you can pick locks with it. If you want to expand anything, I would say expand tensioners first, and then get some hooks. All right, thanks everyone. Take care.